Evening, everybody. Alan Zlotorzynzki for the Brevard Sports Network. And I've really grown accustomed to liking these roundtables. And there you see on your screen, we are here at Ubrzati, and we're going to find out a lot about Ubrzati today. And these roundtables really give us the opportunity to allow those like with Ubrzati, to tell you more than I could ever explain about the company, what they do, how they do it, why they stand out. And I tell you what, so let's just get started. And everybody just go ahead. Mike, we'll start with you. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll just move right down the line.
Hey, I'm Mike DeVinney, one of the coaches here at Ubrzati.
Beau Chavez, co-owner of Ubrzati and director of education.
Okay, I'm Dario, one of the co-owners and starters of Ubrzati.
I'm Bret Cooper, the owner of the Athlete Factory in Atlanta, Georgia, and I use Ubrzati.
I'm Marcella, Osso, and I'm one of the coaches here at Ubrzati HQ.
And I'm Reda, and I'm also one of the coaches here at Ubrzati HQ.
All right, so Ubrzati. First of all, when Ubrzati first opened, I fell in love with the name immediately. What is Ubrzati? What is the name?
That's a question for this guy right here.
Yeah, so the interesting.
You got to hold that. Yep.
Yeah, the interesting story, actually, the Ubrzati name. I'm actually born and raised Croatian. Came to States to play baseball. Played high school and college level, and treadmills helped me throughout the process, and that's how everything actually started. But the origination of the name Ubrzati comes from Croatian when my partner Tim came and mentioned, hey, everything we do comes to accelerate an athlete, accelerate their development, really progress them next level, and Ubrzati comes from Croatian language meaning to accelerate.
That's an outstanding. That I never knew that. That's outstanding. So, with that being said, to excel in an athlete, and that's what Beau. That's what you do here. You pull the most out of the thing that I like about Ubrzati, and what you say clearly up front is that this place isn't for somebody looking just to work out. What is the concept of Ubrzati? What is it you want to accomplish here?
So the concept is based on the high-performance treadmills. So kind of going back into the history and how this all kind of evolved was I started a company in Alaska called Acceleration in 1998. And so the concept behind what we do is solely based technically on what an athlete is able to accomplish on these high-performance treadmills. Pushing an athlete beyond what we consider their normal perceived levels of exertion. Forcing the athlete to go above and beyond what they think they're capable of doing. So it's not just coming in and working out technically, right? What we're trying to do is tap into an athlete's potential. As we say, we want to take a athlete that's, he's not a great athlete, right? He has development. We can take him, make him better, take a great athlete, make him even greater, and take a higher level athlete, all right, and put them on the performance treadmills and what we do here and make them even greater. So basically they go from bad to good, good to great, great to greater. That's the whole point. It's not just working out. We're trying to make these athletes be as best as they can possibly be, whether they're a high-level athlete or a lower-level athlete. Okay?
But, Mike, you guys seem to have used a method which makes the athlete bigger, faster, stronger, and it's just unique to watch as people see this on their screen here. Talk about first talk about the treadmill, because I interviewed you about the treadmill, and my apologies, but we just couldn't hear it with everything in the background. So if you could, take us through the process of that treadmill.
Yeah, so these treadmills, they're not like any treadmills you can't go to Dick's and buy one of these treadmills. These are made by Tough Tread. Treadmills go up to 40% incline, then go 31 miles an hour. But most people, what they see in our videos are our flat runs. That's what people want to see, but that's like 10% of what these athletes are going to do. Our big thing that we do here is all incline runs. So that incline is going to force these guys bigger knee drive, develop more power, just work on the form. And that's the biggest thing that we do here is form work. So as you can see with our setup, if we look at it later, we've got mirrors in front of the treadmills. We got the coaches standing right next to them. So it's always form kind of thing that we're doing. If you're outside running, you don't have a coach right next to you saying, hey, your knee drive's got to be here, your chest got to be here. So it's all formwork kind of that we're working on it here.
Because in the end, it doesn't really matter how far you run, but you can run further if you're doing it the right way. Is that what you're basically saying?
Yeah.
Absolutely, and faster. And, it's interesting because as I was watching the Olympic trials, and let's shift over here on this side of the room. As I was watching the Olympic trials, do you ever watch, Dylan, other athletes and go, I can make that athlete better by simply doing this, or this?
Yeah, of course. Being a former Division I football player myself and playing professionally, having just been using the treads for the last year and a half, at this point, I can definitely feel just myself personally. My performance has escalated. I mean, I was just talking to Beau earlier. I squatted 455 yesterday. I haven't squatted in heavy like that in a couple years, but I've been consistent with the treads, and I definitely think that translates to your power, your agility, everything. Just being a high-level athlete, you can utilize this as, a tool that's going to excel your performance. Just like we say, acceleration is the name. It just makes perfect sense to me.
Marcella, I've watched you work. I've watched all of you, but I've watched you specifically the last time I was in here work one-on-one with athletes. When you do those workouts, what is it that you're looking for from them? Like, so let's say Caleb and I show up. All right, let's just say I show up. Let's say I show up and I want to, I think that I can become a better performance athlete. But obviously I know I've got to go through some sort of a test. What are you looking for out of the first-timers when they come through this door?
I think one thing you definitely notice at first is, one, definitely if they've been on a treadmill before. Two, what I like to see most, I think, is a willingness to be coached. Especially with how much we've been on social media and everything, everybody wants to come in and go fast, but a willingness to be coached and listen to your coach and understand it's a process is something that I think is really important to see in athletes. Sometimes, it's funny, there's a couple kids because since we're right next to them, you say something, it's their first time on the treadmill, and then all of a sudden they're running on a treadmill and they're looking over at you, and you're like, no, like, look straight forward. But so sometimes it gets funny like that, but I think definitely that's the number one thing I like to see and look for in somebody that comes in for the first time.
And Bret, you're down. I should say down from Atlanta. What brings you to Ubrzati?
Well, I actually, funny story is I actually trained on a similar program while I played with the Orlando Predators here. So when I was playing with the Predators, my off-season training consisted of a similar program. So I knew what it was all about. And eventually ended up in Atlanta, opened up my own training facility, and sought to bring in an overspeed system into my facility in Atlanta, and that's what led me here to Ubrzati.
Now, you've obviously, I'm sure you're as a businessman, you've done your research and your homework, I'm sure. What ultimately led you, what was it about Ubrzati that made Ubrzati stand out?
The previous system I had before was an overspeed system. The difference with this system is everything is, I guess, categorized, and then it's categorized into steps. So, you come in, and the big misconception is you're going to come in and you're going to see how fast you run on a treadmill. Well, it's kind of the other way around. You come in, and the treadmill gets you to run faster. So this system is the biggest thing. That's the difference.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to step away real quick. We're going to come back, and when we come back, we'll jump into segment 2. We'll find out a little bit about each of our trainers here and owners and what the future may hold for Ubrzati, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth about the process. right, welcome back here. Roundtable with the great staff here in ownership of Ubrzati, and from right to left on your screen is you got Mike, Beau, Dario, you have Bret, you have Marcella, and Dylan. Now, Mike, let's start with you. Let's find out a little bit about each of you and what it is you specifically bring to the table here at Ubrzati.
So my background is big in exercise science. So I went to my undergrad was North Carolina Wesleyan. I got my bachelor's of exercise science there. Then I went on to UCF, got my master's degree in exercise science. So that's kind of where my big background is more of the scientific side, understanding why you do things, how to develop programming, stuff like that. So mine's big more on the science side.
And I can tell you right now, before we even go any further, I've talked to a lot of student athletes that use Ubrzati, that come in here and train here, and every one of them tell me how much they love everyone here at Ubrzati and the way that they are pushed. Beau, how about you?
So I grew up in a little town in northern New Mexico, ex-athlete, went to college in Indiana, got my degree in health and human performance with an emphasis in sports medicine, and technically I was supposed to go and become a PT. I didn't want to get stuck in a PT clinic, nothing against the PTs, but I was passionate about the sports and the science behind sports and how you can actually develop an athlete. So after I graduated college, I moved to Alaska, opened up a facility called Acceleration Alaska, and kind of started that process of what I learned through college and started training athletes in Alaska on a similar system, which basically evolved into Beau Chavez performance and the protocols, and then that turned, of course, into Ubrzati. So I technically developed the protocols that they use here at Ubrzati, and basically starting in 1999, then helped develop the high-performance treadmill with a company called Tough Tread in 2005, and started development of the protocols, the high-performance treadmills, and today we started Ubrzati in conjunction with Dario and our other owner, Tim Stockton. So that's how I ended up here in Melbourne.
What I love about Beau is Beau has used a little bit of hockey in this. I love. I'm a big hockey fan. I played.
Not a lot of hockey down here, man.
No, there's not. We got to change that.
So funny story, right? So when we start talking about the protocol, so a lot of the development of what the athletes are doing today is in direct correlation with what I had to do with a hockey player.
Yep.
And if you don't know hockey players very well, if you've never worked with hockey players, right, they're a little bit different breed of athlete.
Yes.
Right. If they don't like something, they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, out of necessity, a lot of the pro guys were like, "We're not going to be doing A, B, or C anymore unless you change it up and do something different." And lo and behold, from a business standpoint, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get in some fisticuffs with a bunch of pro hockey players, right? Because you know how that's going to end up.
Yeah,
right?
I do.
I'm not Happy Gilmore by any means.
Yeah.
So from a standpoint of hockey, if you don't know hockey and you know hockey
yeah.
as well as I do, that
I felt it.
So the development of the protocols and technically Ubrzati has a lot to do with development of me needing to make my hockey players better and them basically wanting to become better.
It's funny because when I first walked in here and saw everything for the first time, I said, a lot of this looks, for obviously the treadmill, because there's 4 or 5 treadmills in every NHL dressing room right outside the door. There just is. Right. Not like that, but, just basic treadmills. And those yes, exactly. You see something similar to that. So, and we'll talk about what that equipment does. But Dario, we found out a little bit about you a little earlier. So, tell us a little bit more about you.
So yeah, I came to the States to play professional baseball. Mm-hmm. That was my lifelong.
How does someone from Croatia? And I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
How does? Because I'm sure. Now, what years were you there and looking to come play professional baseball?
Sure. So I came in 2001.
Okay.
Basically, Europe wasn't known for baseball.
Right.
So I was playing at a lower level, but I wanted to play Major League Baseball.
Right.
So the only place was across the Atlantic. So,
right.
So I was a bold kid. I actually barely spoke English at the time, but I wanted to play the game of baseball and just got on the plane, found the exchange student program type.
Right.
And you go about living life, exploring. So came to Arkansas because it was actually the cheapest state for a national student to go to. So it's an interesting story, you know.
Understandable.
So I do have a little bit of Southern accent, so that's where I learned my English. Economy, but you know, you know, I'm big about you know, talking about the life journey and things that involved. Met so many amazing families, and that's where actually I got introduced to treadmill type of training.
Gotcha.
With Beau, similar, basically acceleration program, and it changed me as an athlete. But not just necessarily as an athlete, it changed me as a person. It helped me accomplish so many different dreams that I don't think I was able to do without a treadmill. So it pushed me out of the comfort zone that I needed to be pushed. And with all the training, I actually played for Croatian national team, mentor. I played all around the Europe with different coaches, mentored by many. But it was interesting that treadmill delivered something different. It was the environment for me to experience something a lot of people spoke of, but could not really transition. At Ubrzati,
hold that a little closer. Yeah.
At the Ubrzati, that is the core. How do we, and that's how we kind of pulled ourselves back, is how do we, as a mentors, create an environment that our athletes can excel? For them to experience the energy, the speed, the power, because that is the key, that through the failures of that experience is how we actually build them. So again, we as a coaches actually sit on the side and more do the mentorship part.
Right.
But we built the environment that they can experience.
You know, the one thing that sticks out to me in your response right there is passion.
Absolutely.
And I think that when you're going to do anything in life, if you don't have the passion, and all of you have it, by the way.
It's the key.
Go ahead.
No. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's the key to what makes. Well, it's the key to what makes us successful.
Yeah.
Because when I start going and I start talking and I travel all over the country to talk, right? The one thing everybody says is you're passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
We're passionate about it. Dario's passionate, you know, for different reasons than I am.
Right.
Right. And the staff is passionate about it for different reasons. But the bottom line is it's the key to everything. If you're passionate about what you do, you're going to be successful. And if people see that passion, then it overflows, and that's why our athletes are successful.
You know,
without a doubt.
It is, and I mean that's the thing, and it's funny because that's the thing. When I'm interviewing student athletes or coaches or even doing roundtables, it is the one thing I look for because he'll tell you we can get in the car after we're done a roundtable or an interview or a game, and I'll say, yeah, that's a great athlete, but he or she lacks the passion, and in 3 years, you know what, they'll be working in the work field once they're done with college. No. If you don't have the passion, honestly, that next level success doesn't come. You played next level. Tell us. I mean, what do you take from what you played next level to bring into Ubrzati?
Right. So about halfway through my career is when I started doing the speed system, and without a doubt, I noticed a change in everything I did on the field. Specifically, my running technique. You know, I played receiver, and I can just feel my drive off the ball was different. I remember the day I felt it for the first time. So I take everything that I've learned and how I applied it in the sports world when we're on the treadmill or on the turf inside, you know, just relaying that message to the kids. This is what I see. This is what I did. You'll feel it on the field when you do this. You know, so things like that I can relate to them from the field to treadmill.
That's interesting that you say that because it's almost like, and I'm trying to figure out, because not everybody watching is an athlete. So it's like almost like when you learn how to do that math in school that you've been struggling with, and then all of a sudden it clicks and you feel it and you feel good about being able to do that problem. It's the same type of situation where you realize coming off the line of scrimmage, this is all worth it. This is all work. And it makes you want to push that much more, you know.
Right.
Marcella, for you, tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you to Ubrzati? Tell us about your journey.
So I'm actually from Buffalo, New York.
Uh-oh.
And go Bills. And I moved back down to Florida. My fiance's down here. He was my boyfriend at the time, but I moved back down here for him and a job that paid like $500 a month for coaching. But, I knew I wanted to be involved in softball, again. And I played softball in college, Division I JUCO, and over at Wallace State in Alabama, and found my way over to Melbourne. And when I came back down, I didn't really have a plan, but the team that I came down to coach for was actually an upper deck team that Tim was coaching. His daughter was on the team, and he was helping trying to build the softball program. So that's how I got to know him. He had already been involved with Mike, which I actually, from like years ago, worked at LA Fitness with Mike, so that's how I knew him. So Tim knew I had a background in personal training, and my personal training background, I got my certification from National Academy of Sports Medicine with a specialty in performance enhancement. And that's always been a passion for me as an athlete, especially seeing I didn't even start lifting weights until maybe after high school.
Wow.
So to be able to, realize where I got and see what all of the kids have available now and how young they're starting, especially because in Buffalo you can't train outside all year round. So, especially when I look at the softball athletes playing all year round and not getting burned out. Some of them are getting burned out, but some of them are they will train every single day of the week. They want to come into Ubrzati 2 to 3 times a week and then do the ground base and then do this and, work on off the tee and everything. And it's really like so exciting to see them, especially as we kind of follow each player's journey through high school and even before, to see where they're at now. And then sometimes, I compare myself to like, I don't even know if I had lifted a dumbbell when I was like,
right.
and
Right.
like Kira James, for example, was squatting, what would she squat? Like 255 for rep for 3.
Oh my goodness.
And she loves softball, and she loves, coming here and being like a strong girl, which I definitely love to see. If you're asking if there's something specific I feel like I bring to the table that's different. Obviously I'm a girl, so I like to definitely see the girls come in, and especially their first time when they're kind of shy, there's
right.
boys around, and I think one of the biggest lessons they can learn is just like, boys aren't a big deal. You're going to get sweaty. They're going to get sweaty. You're going to get tired. You guys might be laying on the ground after your last run, and it just gets that like embarrassment out of the way of just like, okay, I'm surrounded by athletes who are here for the right reasons, and you just see them kind of change before your eyes.
Brevard County's got some good softball in it. I tell you, it really does. It really is. Well, Dylan, I think that for those watching, of all of the faces in the room, yours is obviously probably based on your days here in Brevard County. So you've done a couple. You tell us about your journey over the last 2 years.
Okay, yeah. So I grew up in Southern California, played college football at Southern Miss, and then got my degree in kinesiology there. Worked as a GA in the weight room with the football team for a year, and then moved to Europe, kind of reverse of Dario. I played football in Denmark for 3 years, won 3 championships over there. And while I was over there, the sport was just how kind of baseball is for the Europeans. Football is definitely, it's starting to catch up, but it's a little behind. So I was doing a lot of, just technique, fundamental stuff with the youth athletes there. And, just always been passionate about working with youth athletes. That's always been something that I've been invested in. And then, came back, my wife, she had moved here from Wisconsin, so we settled down here. My dad obviously has been coaching in the county for a while, been at Astronaut, Merritt Island. He's now at Vieira. So I started just doing ground-based stuff on my own outside, at Vieira Regional. And Bill Cromartie, actually, I was working with Chase for, a few years. And I had left last year before COVID to go play one more time in Prague. And Chase started running at Ubrzati, so I'd actually ran with Beau a few years ago, back in 2017, and my friend actually knew Dario, and so I kind of got that connection, came into the facility after I got back from, the whole COVID fiasco, and they were looking for somebody to do agilities and weights and stuff like that, so I came in just to really start with the ground-based training and do some weight stuff here and there. And then as we have been growing and got here, I'm doing treadmills, so I kind of feel like I'm just a little bit of a switchblade. I can do a little bit of everything.
And just to be clear, you've left coaching to come here at Ubrzati.
Yes, sir. Yep. I've left coaching, and it's nice being here that I can, not feel pigeonholed in a sense that, I love coaching, obviously, and I love football. But I love being able to give these athletes from any sport the opportunity to, build confidence. And I really think that's the biggest thing that we see with these athletes is, they get on the tread. Maybe it's a kid that doesn't really know how to run or doesn't really know how to move his body. And within a week, you're seeing change in these athletes. And then you take it from the tread and you bring it to the turf and you see them, their movement pattern changes just from the tread to the turf, and then you get them under the rack, or you get them, with some dumbbells, and they've got some strength in there that's, all translating from what we're doing just on the treadmill. So just really, being passionate about the confidence that you can really see in these kids, and then obviously take all of this, and then you put them on the field or on the diamond or on the ice or whatever it might be, and really just the confidence continues to grow from there, and that's really what I love about this whole team and being a part of what Ubrzati is doing.
Well, I tell you what, the thing that I think that is really neat about a parent was telling me that a lot of the trainers in here are members of their families, and as owners of this company, when you hear that, the character that the people that you have working for you, what does that mean to you guys to hear? That your staff is treated like family members, and that a big reason why people come here, they love the program, but it's because of the people that you have working for you.
Sure. I mean, at the end of the staff is the key. They actually get to work and mentor what it's all about. The Ubrzati, is a platform for the next in line. We're big about why we brought it to the community, and partnered with, Stockton family to help us deliver this is, again, that we can, with all the distraction and a lot of stuff that's going on out with the kids these days, we find the kids that have a will to succeed, we built a path for them to actually walk the path with specific guidance, and that's why we key is a family. When we're talking about family, right. Family is an anchor to everything, and we want to ensure that they can feel when they deal with a lot, they can come to our coaching staff. Our coaches are key to all the mentorship, and that's why we thoroughly examine each one that comes in, because again, they're going to work with the youth athletes. We want to see what you mentioned, the energy, the passion, because kids attached to it, they feed off of it, and it's a key for the growth of their success. And again, Ubrzati is all about next in line, and how do we provide for them to grow to the best they can be.
Well, if you've ever owned a business, the business doesn't grow without the employees, right? And I was talking, Bret's here from Atlanta, and Bret and I have been sitting down for the last couple of days. Is when you're by yourself and you're running a business, it's extremely difficult. But then you find a staff. Right, that's what Ubrzati was about, and Dario said, families first. We all have families, okay? Family comes first, and when the family, if you need to go on vacation, you go on vacation, right? Then the team's going to take over, and that's what we want with Dylan, with Marcella, and with Mike, is we, as an ownership, right, Dario, Tim, and I, completely trust them to do what we know they're going to be doing for the athletes.
Sure.
Right? And I can leave and I can go, because I'm not necessarily from Melbourne, I can go up to Ocala, or I can take a trip to do something with Tough Tread or with an Ubrzati somewhere else, and completely trust my staff, because I know not only are they going to do what they're supposed to do, they care about what they're going to do. And at the end of the day, as an ownership, what we want is we want Mike to have his own Ubrzati. We want Dylan to have his own Ubrzati. We want Marcella to have her own Ubrzati. Bret has his own business, and he's going to be part of Ubrzati. And that's the whole point and the whole key, right? When people say family, right, is when they come in here, they get that, they understand the passion, they understand what we're about, and that it's not just about the dollars and the cents. It is a business, and we all have to make money. But at the end of the day, like Dario said, it's about the community. That's why we started Ubrzati, is it's about community. Take somebody, right, that maybe didn't feel like they were capable of going on to, say, a D3 level. Now they're on a D3 level. Or they can go on to D2. Or maybe they're D2 guy. Maybe we can make them a D1 guy. Or maybe, right? They will just win a district championship, a regional championship, or even a state championship. And for them, that's going to be the greatest thing. That's the whole point of what we're trying to do here. And that's what the staff believes.
I tell you what, I love sitting here, and I know exactly what you mean because I'm blessed to have it too. When because being a small operation that we are, to be able to go away and know that things are going to get done, that's exactly right. That's a very, very peaceful.
I honestly think if I said, hey, I'm not going to come down for 2 months. Dario's going to go to Croatia for 3 months. Tim's going to go off and surf somewhere, wherever he's going to go, right? You guys take care of it. I literally think, okay, we wouldn't do that, of course,
right.
But I literally think that if we said that, the staff would be like, okay, they would probably be like, thank God anyway, right? All right? And they would absolutely run the business like it was supposed to be run. And that's what we want. And when we bring in somebody like Bret, it's not like we're just going to give Ubrzati away and go anywhere and say, okay, hey, yeah, put in Ubrzati, boom, 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 boom. No, it's not the case. Okay, you're going to come in, right, and we're going to sit down, and it's not necessarily an interview process, but is Bret capable of doing what we want him to do up in Atlanta? Yeah, 100%. And so, boom, he's going to take what he's already built and then just add the Ubrzati to it, and then he has the staff underneath him and the guidance, right? And that's what's going to make it successful, right? Are the people.
No doubt. Well said, and I can't think of a better way to segue into our final break here. We'll be back. We'll jump a little bit more in depth about the future of Ubrzati, and we're going to find out about how you can come on down here and be a part of this. So we'll be back here in just a minute. This is the Ubrzati Roundtable here on Brevard Sports Network.
So we're going to offer what we call a 2-week technique camp for those who have shown interest in coming to the HQ location here in Melbourne, Florida from outside our area to travel down and do a 2-week intensive programming of our Ubrzati training on our high-performance tough tread treadmills in the location. So what it's going to be a 5-day, 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday with your weekends off. And that 2-hour period is what we're going to do is we're going to teach the athletes, okay, on a one-on-one type situation where they're running on the treadmill at higher inclines, because what you have to understand is what you see on the videos on the social media is these athletes running at high speeds at low inclines. That's less than about 1% of what we're trying to do with our athletes. That's the end product. So what we're going to teach you in those 2 weeks, and what normally takes a track coach 8 weeks to teach, we're going to be able to teach your athlete within a 2-week period, doing an intensive 2-week camp. So what it'll be is 2 hours, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. They'll come in for an hour and 15 minutes. That includes warm-up, cool down, an hour and 15 minutes on the treadmill in a one-on-one supervised program using our protocols to teach athletes the proper biomechanical efficiency to run with speed on the ground. After they're done with our treadmill session, you will go to a ground-based session with Mike Potier and Pinnacle Performance and do a 45-minute ground-based program. That'll be Monday through Friday for 2 hours with your weekends off. The following week will be the exact same thing. Okay, in the afternoons, you are more than welcome to come back into the facility and do more what we offer from a strength standpoint or from a cognition standpoint, or if you just want to go off and enjoy our beautiful area, the Melbourne area, Melbourne Beach, Cocoa Beach, or go to Orlando to any one of the Disney resorts or the Universal resorts, you're more than welcome to do that. There's going to be 3 separate camps. We're going to post dates on our website, okay? If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to call me at my cell at 505-350-8953 or our website, okay, and email me, Beau, at beau.chavez@ubrzati.life. So once again, beau.chavez@ubrzati.life for more information regarding what we're considering the 2-week technique camp. So thank you very much, and we hope to see your athletes in here soon, and we appreciate your support.
Welcome back. Final segment here for the Ubrzati Roundtable. This has been an absolute pleasure today. Appreciate everybody. So let's just open it up. Let's just talk. Beau, we'll start with you. What is it you love most about what it is you do?
So the reason I love what I do is because I didn't have anybody like this staff when I was a kid. Okay, so I'm capable of saying it now, but when I got to college, all right, I was a great baseball player where I grew up in northern New Mexico, small podunk town, right? But then when I got to college, okay, it was kind of a eye-awakening experience for me. As okay, all right, there's 10 other Beau Chavezes that are just as good or even better than me, and it hit me really hard, and I got cut, and it absolutely destroyed me.
Yeah.
Destroyed me, right? And so it goes back to going to college is, okay, I don't want anybody to feel like I had to feel at that moment in time. So my passion and the reason I do what I do is so that kids that come into Ubrzati or the Ubrzati's, that are around the United States or some of the other programs we've helped start is that we want kids to be able to, one, Dylan said it the best, it's confidence, okay? My confidence was shot and I didn't have the confidence. So now we all have the understanding, all right, because of life lessons, and the reason I love what I do and the way it is because, all right, and I'm passionate about it because I never want a kid or an athlete, student athlete, to ever feel like I had to feel. And so that's the whole point of the start of Ubrzati and why we train our staff the way we train them. So when these kids come in, they get the confidence that they're talking about. They get the passion that Dario's talking about. So when they do come in, they're going to leave here the best possible athlete and most confident that they've ever been in their entire life.
I think that's very telling because when you talk to a business owner or an employee and the reason they do what they do is because they don't want somebody else to feel like they felt at a particular point in time in life.
Right.
I think that's very telling about one's character. And Dario, how about you? What is it that you love most about this?
The big thing is, like I say, providing for the next in line. We try to make a Brevard community that much better. We're trying to build kids, and I call them for specific reason hybrids that once you go through the Ubrzati concept with your confidence, you actually evolve as an individual with a specific way of living. You become disciplined about a lot of things. You get to understand that if I put in great work, I actually do get results.
Mm-hmm.
And so the little things, I'm talking about becoming better and more disciplined, being a family member, doing your chores, going to school, doing the school work. You become a better citizen that I want around my kids, that will mentor my kids one day. And being as a parent, it's all about if we create a better and healthier community, it will help us all in a long run.
And the last thing we'll talk about here coming up in a couple of minutes is the future. But, Mike, for you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? What would what would you like to be doing in 5 years?
I mean, 5 years from now, definitely want to be part of Ubrzati. I mean, there's no better company to work for. I'd love to be able to run my own facility or, even do what Beau does, go to other facilities, do a lot of education stuff, spread the word of Ubrzati. We don't want to keep it here in Brevard. This is something where we don't want, hey, this is just for Brevard athletes. We want to say, hey, we want to impact lives, man, internationally. That's the real goal, is just grow. We've got people, like I said, social media is doing huge for us. We've got people messaging us almost every day saying, hey, how can I be a part of this? How can I be a part of this? So if we can get to a point where we're branching out and we have a California location and we got a location in Japan, being able to travel and do that education would be awesome.
For you, when you came in here, what's something that just since you've been with Ubrzati that you've learned? What's one thing that you didn't know coming in, and whether it's from a training standpoint or from a business standpoint, what's one thing that sticks out to you that you can say, you know what, this is what I learned at Ubrzati?
I would say the biggest thing I learned was kind of my own coaching style. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing that, I would say a lot of strength coaches get into is they see these rah coaches all the time, in your face, screaming, doing all this kind of stuff. But that's the biggest thing I tell, young strength coach coming up is like, you got to find your coaching style, your coaching voice. I'm not, if you ever watch Beau do training, he trains a lot different than I do.
Sure.
I'm standing right next to an athlete. I'm talking to the athlete. I'm telling them things, while they're running. I don't feel like I'm one of those guys that needs to scream. But, when you come in at the beginning, you're thinking, hey, this is what everybody wants. Everyone wants someone yelling at them, screaming at them. But sometimes you just got to learn, like, that's not your style. So that's probably the biggest thing I took away was what my coaching voice was.
What your coaching style is. And back over here, Dylan and Marcella, how about you guys? What have you learned since coming to Ubrzati?
Personally, I mean, I feel like I've just been almost overwhelmed with knowledge just of what the treadmills are capable of, you know, just constantly being around it and constantly hearing what Beau's talking about, you know, with different running forms, people that he's learned from. In January, we had a seminar here, and there was just so much knowledge. It was like knowledge overload. Just people that have learned more, they've forgotten more things than they've learned. You know, just teaching us things, you know, different ways to, you know, that they run the protocols, or different ways that they implement the treads with their strength work, or different ways that they utilize, you know, the speed turnover into agility movements and things like that, and just things that are constantly, you know, everyone kind of does things similar, but how can we take a little bit of what everyone does and make it Ubrzati? You know, obviously our base thing is the treads, but you know, what do I learn from Beau, and how can I implement that into what I'm learning, you know, with some stuff on the ground-based aspect of things. And you know, so really, you know, I think that's probably my biggest takeaway, is just learning just from the staff. Everyone's got a different, like Mike said, everyone's got a different coaching style. Learning from his coaching style, or picking Mike's brain, or picking Marcella's brain, or on just different things that they've learned, because everyone's been coached by somebody else. So just being able to constantly have people around me that know more than me makes me feel like I am learning, you know, consistently. So it's nice.
How about you, Marcella?
I guess to definitely piggyback off of Mike with the coaching style, I definitely feel like I learned more about myself. I still am learning more about myself when it comes to my coaching style. And I think the more I accepted what my coaching style was, which again isn't in everybody's face and yelling and stuff, like I feel like I'm a little bit more nurturing, but you know, like but definitely a big moment was when the Viera football team was in here. And you know, I knew what my coaching style was at that point, but I think when you put I had to kind of put those boys in front of my coaching style, and kind of understand that they don't need a friend right now. They don't need, like, you know, what they respond to is in your face, yelling at you. You know, I had to pick up the volume, pick up the intensity. Being around Beau for sure has definitely helped me do that. So just when like the how the athlete responds, and being able to read that, the more different types of athletes, because before I was just working with softball girls, that definitely has been a challenge for me that I've seen myself grow a lot in. So that, yeah, I'm like really thankful to have such different coaching styles in here too to feed off of.
I tell you a funny story, or not a funny story, but a story, and you all remind me of this. My brother, when went into the Marine Corps and he came out, I said, well, what's one thing you've learned about being a Marine? And I thought it would be something completely and utterly different than the answer he gave me. And his answer was to adapt and overcome at anything in life, just to adapt and overcome. And it seems like that with your coaching styles, like with the Viera football team, you adapt, you realize that you have to do this, you draw from Beau or another coach here, and you overcome, and you give that student athlete what it is they require. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for sure, especially because our system and the type of training we do is the training of the central nervous system, something internal change that the athletes have to make. It like hits really, really hard when like you see a kid, you know, on the treadmill, you see that moment where it just like flips a switch, and like suddenly they kick it into next gear, and then it's like a new athlete. It's like they're just like reborn. They're like, okay, I can do this now. This is the standard. And yeah, so it's been fun for me to see that in myself, and see that in the other athletes too.
Beau, Dario, everybody thought they had the answers to, when you look around Brevard County or even throughout East Central Florida, everybody thought they had the answers to speed and agility, and then you guys came along and changed the questions. And you really did, in terms of what an athlete needs to do. This, when Ubrzati came to town, it really opened up a whole new outlook for a lot of student athletes. What does the future hold for Ubrzati?
Well, and the key with all that, it comes in with the years of experience what me and Beau, did together, and where, the science approach to what Ubrzati really does. It's studied. I mean, there's 25 years of science put behind how you're supposed to train individual.
Right.
We didn't just come up with this. There was a gentleman named John Frappier at University of
University of North Dakota.
yeah, that studied this, the core and why it is the work. So we then, through the years of helping Tough Tread, build a machine that can sustain these kind of energies, that, an owner can have a return on investment, and then building Ubrzati on top of all of the Beau's years of experience that he put behind the protocols. Now it's just, we have a vision of helping from a nationwide to international gift of bringing a plug-in to already amazing work others do and basically enhance it with this, call it a plug-in,
Right.
with a treadmill Vertimax, and the key is the education of how you're supposed to run the system to be successful, that kids can feed off of it, and bringing you down just like we have a Bret, and to see how this engine really works, how our flow works, and how the kids actually benefit out of it. So.
Well, it's right. It's we're all. I mean, we've been doing this a long time, and I tell this to people all the time, is I've absolutely made every possible mistake you could possibly make when it comes to training athletes. But because of those mistakes, right, I am now able to teach my staff, and the staff can learn under us, of the experience of this is what you don't want to do. Why you don't want to do this? Is because this will happen. This is what you're going to do and what you have to do. And the cool thing about it, when I say we're humble about things, is we don't have all the answers. We have a great tool that we can go into, like the Athlete Factory, and he's doing a great job with the strength. He's doing a great job with the ground-based. They're doing a great job here. We're just going to come in and say, hey, we've got something, right, that has been studied, that people know, that we know is successful because we've been extremely successful at it, and just plug it in, and then get the education on the backside of it. And that's how Ubrzati is going to grow. Is people need to understand what we're trying to do, and it's the education, and it's the protocols, and it's the system that's going to be successful in conjunction with somebody who already is successful with their own business somewhere else. And that's how Ubrzati is going to expand and grow.
Bret, final question for you. First of all, what is your timeline when you headed back up to Atlanta?
I'm headed back tomorrow.
Okay.
Afternoon, and then tomorrow afternoon, and get the system started there.
And so it's Ubrzati's gone in Atlanta.
It's going full blow. So if you're ever in Atlanta and need someone to work out, look me up. Yeah, it's in Atlanta, full go. The treadmill's there. We have a system in place. And we're looking to grow the brand, not just in Atlanta, but throughout the entire state of Georgia. Georgia needs something like this. There's not much like this there. Actually, there isn't anything like this there, but there's not much of technology there when it comes to training. It's hard for me to, in a good way, it's hard for me to unsee this. So when I see someone training, the conventional way that we've learned, pulling a sled or going through cones or, literally running up a hill outside, that I look at that as an outdated way of gaining speed. So this is definitely the future, and that's what we're trying to do.
I sure wish they had this when I was playing, because those hills are brutal. All right, so as we get set to wrap up here, and this is my favorite part. First of all, is there anything that you want to talk about that maybe we didn't cover? Because I think that, and I'm going to ask you all, your final question is, and you can start to think about it, your final question is going to be, you can tell us one thing. If you could only say one thing about Ubrzati, what would it be? And you cannot repeat what anybody else says, okay? So that'll be the final question. But before we get to that, is there anything that you can think of that we did not discuss in this roundtable? Because I think we hit it all.
Honestly, I think we hit it.
I
honestly,
think
this is the best interview I've ever done.
I
I've done a lot of interviews and talked in front of a lot of people, but honestly, when it comes down to it, and you actually get to know people, and that we're just not. That's what I say, but we're just not somebody off the streets. We just didn't make this up. Okay, everybody here is an ex-athlete.
Yep.
Okay, everybody here has a higher level of education. I'm not saying that's better than anybody else, but when you start adding in education on top of experience, okay, and you put it together in a program, it's special. It's different.
No doubt.
It is different.
It
like
is.
I said, this has been a great interview, and I have talked to lots of coaches. I have talked to lots of parents. I have been to lots of amazing facilities. Good, bad, indifferent, whatever it may be. And we're different because we're not just coming off the street and just making something up.
I'll tell you, my favorite part is that
Process.
logo. I love it. With a last name like Zlotorzynzki, that Z is pretty banging. There is a benefit to being the only girl here.
Yeah.
Ladies go first. So you tell us, Marcella, one thing about Ubrzati.
I definitely think, although we're not a sports specific gym, if there's one thing that we have that is very unique, is and that you could take from sports, is that how sports are changing is everything is speeding up, and it is revolved around quick decision making. Gotcha. And I think that is what you're going to get the most from on the tread is, whether you're fast, big, whatever sport you play, it doesn't matter. You are going to be able to react better and make better decisions quicker.
Dylan?
Growth, I guess, is the one word. Just how we've grown, personally, how I feel like I've grown, just being a part of this, like I said, learning, knowledge, everything like that. Being able to balance my family work life, watching the growth of the athletes, watching them turn from a kid that can barely move to, maybe one of the top players in the county or whatever it might be. So I think that's my word of choice for the company.
How about you, Bret?
I'd rather use this. I'm going to say not just confidence, but day one confidence. And what I mean by that is the kid, the very first day, and I witnessed it here yesterday, their first time on the treadmill, it's going to teach them how to run properly. It's going to give them that correct form. And just that simple progress will give them confidence.
Gotcha. Dario?
I will state it more to the kids, to those interested is, what do you want? If there's unknown purpose, but there's a goal that you want to accomplish, Ubrzati will, and the concept, the way we train, will help you get there. And it will build a specific discipline and will. It will enhance the will with all the confidence, all the factors that will, like you mentioned, you adapt and overcome to get there. And Ubrzati will be path that will help your journey along the way accomplish all the things and more that you can imagine. So,
Beau?
Oh man, I'll go with confidence, without a doubt. And the best part about what we do is taking an athlete, and I'll go back to it, is I think training pro athletes is awesome. It's great. It's cool. It's everything, right? But taking a athlete, and there's been several kids that I've seen here, right? But there's been thousands of kids I've seen over the past 20 plus years, right? When you change them as a individual and you turn them into a more confident person and a more confident athlete, I don't care if they're a high level or a low level, you give somebody the confidence to do something that they never thought they were capable of doing, right? And it's that switch that we're talking about, is when you see that switch go off, all right? He may not be a Division I athlete, but he gets on that field and he does something that, or she's never done anything, that they've never done anything like what they've done in here with us, and that happens out on the field. To me, the confidence is absolutely everything.
Love it. And Mike, I know it's always tough being the last guy to go on this segment, but
I had more prep time.
there you go. That's right.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that I think Ubrzati does that's different than anyone is we're so data driven. I mean, we do evals every 8 weeks, and we keep track of everything for these guys. We do video data, we do numbers data, evals. We get their 40 time, broad jump, vertical jump, treadmill speed, and you name it. We kind of track it. So, I mean, we've had athletes purely just running on a tread increase their vertical jump. You know, that's not something you can tell people is, hey, you're going to save your knees jumping, you're going to get it running, and you're going to get 4 inches on your vertical. You know, we've had football guys go from 5.7 40 to a 5 second flat. I mean, that's an absolute game changer.
Yeah.
So to have, you know, a system that's proven over and over again, full teams, you know, like I said, I'm a science guy. I love looking at the numbers. I love seeing guys drop certain percentage on their 40s, you know, go up certain percentage on their speeds. So I think data is kind of the biggest thing we bring, and it just kind of proves that our system works.
No doubt. And I'll tell you, I give you 3 words, 3 phrases, whatever, that have come to my mind as I've sat here to do this interview. If you're thinking about Ubrzati, don't think, come. The staff here at Ubrzati is passionate. They are experienced. And if indeed you are a serious athlete who deems yourself to have a future at the next level and beyond, then Ubrzati is an absolute must. For Mike, for Beau, for Dario, for Bret, for Marcella, and for Dylan, I'm Alan Zlotorzynzki, and this has been the Ubrzati Roundtable here on the Brevard Sports Network. Have a great night, everybody.